the secret of her smile. In a peaceful little village tucked between green hills and blooming meadows, there lived an elderly woman named Bibi Ameena. Her wrinkled face always carried a calm, joyful smile, and her eyes sparkled with quiet wisdom. She was well known in the village, not just because she had lived there her entire life, but because she was always kind, always listening, and always happy. People from all corners of the village came to visit her. They brought their troubles, their worries, their confusion, and somehow, after talking to her, they always left feeling a little lighter. One morning, as the sun peeked through the clouds, a young man named Faraz came to visit her. He had often heard stories about Bibi Ameena, but that day, something in him needed to know her secret. "Bibi," he began gently, "I watch you every day. You're always smiling. You're always content. Don't you ever feel sad? Don't things ever go wrong in your life?" Bibi Ameena smiled warmly, offering him a cup of tea. She motioned for him to sit on the old wooden bench outside her home. The birds were chirping, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh flowers from the nearby fields. "My dear child," she said, "life is like the sky. Sometimes it's clear and blue, sometimes it's stormy. I've had both kinds of days. But over time, I discovered something very important: true happiness doesn't depend on what's happening outside. It comes from inside." Faraz furrowed his brows. "I don't understand. How can someone be happy when everything around them is falling apart?" Bibi took a deep breath and looked at the horizon. Then, in a quiet voice, she began to tell him her story. "When I was younger," she said, "I had a family. A loving husband, 2 beautiful children. We didn't have much money, but our hearts were full. We laughed a lot, worked together, shared dreams. Life was simple, but sweet. One winter," she continued, "my husband fell seriously ill. We tried everything, local remedies, borrowed money for a doctor, prayed with all our hearts. But nothing worked. He passed away, leaving me alone with 2 children and no steady income." She paused for a moment, sipping her tea. "I was devastated. I cried for days. I didn't know how to move on. But one night, as I watched my children sleeping beside me, I realized something. My grief was drowning me, but it wasn't helping anyone, not my children, and not me. I had to choose: either stay lost in sorrow, or find a way to live again." Faraz listened with deep respect as she continued. "I started noticing little things: the sound of rain, the color of the sky at sunset, the way my children laughed. I forced myself to look for one small thing each day that made me smile. At first, it felt fake. But slowly, something inside me began to shift." Faraz leaned in closer. "But what if something really terrible happens again? How can someone smile through that?" "It's not about pretending everything is okay," Bibi replied. "It's about recognizing that even in the darkest times, there's still light somewhere. A kind word, a warm meal, a sunrise. I tell myself every morning, today is a new chance to find something beautiful. Even if it's just a bird singing on the window." Faraz looked at her in amazement. "So, happiness is a habit?" "Yes," she nodded. "A habit. A choice. A practice. It's not that I don't feel pain or sadness. I do. But I've learned not to stay there for too long. Life is too short to spend it only looking at what's wrong." She placed her hand gently on his. "And remember this: even the worst days pass. Just like storms. But if you let sorrow take over your heart, it will blind you to the blessings that are still there." Faraz sat silently for a while. The breeze brushed against his face, and he felt lighter somehow. "Thank you, Bibi," he said softly. "I think I understand a little now." From that day onward, Faraz began to practice what he had learned. Each morning, he looked for something good: a moment of laughter, a child playing, the scent of rain on dry earth. Even on days when everything went wrong, he held on to her words: "This too shall pass." Word of Bibi Ameena's wisdom spread slowly through the village. More and more people began visiting her. They weren't looking for magic solutions anymore, they were learning to see life differently. They stopped waiting for everything to be perfect before they allowed themselves to feel joy. Instead, they started finding joy in the imperfect moments. The village, once quiet and burdened by daily struggles, began to change. Smiles became more common. People supported one another more. They realized that being happy didn't mean ignoring pain, it meant choosing to see beauty in the midst of it. Bibi Ameena never claimed to have all the answers. She simply lived with an open heart and taught others, through her actions and her gentle words, that true happiness begins within. Moral: happiness is not found in perfect days, it's discovered in the way we choose to look at life. Even when the skies are gray, there's always something to be thankful for.